So as you can see, the Twitter files are back.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, members of the committee, thank you very much for inviting my testimony. In his 1961 farewell address, President Dwight Eisenhower warned of, quote, the acquisition of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial.
This gentleman, whom I will probably butcher his name throughout this, he's starting out with his opening statement. He's stressed. He's kind of tight. He is giving good eye contact. Apparently he needs glasses to read because he keeps looking over them. So we'll have to forgive him on that body language.
Complex. Eisenhower feared that the size and power of the complex or cluster of government contractors and the Defense Department would, quote, endanger our liberties or democratic processes. How did he mean that? Through, quote, domination.
And with that, as you see, how did he mean that? The portrayal there, the exaggeration of an emphasis. So we got some nervousness. He's come to perform, not necessarily a bad thing. It just shows that he really wants to get this information out. So we'll go to the next guy.
Nice for 5 minutes.
Chairman Jordan.
Hit Matt, Mr. Tybee, hit that.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, members of the Select Committee, thank you for having me today.
He's obviously a lot more nervous than the other guy. He's folded his hands in front of him. They're gated. He doesn't want to give a lot of eye contact. He's leaning heavily over his little tablet or iPad.
My name is Matt Taibbi. I've been a reporter for 30 years and a staunch advocate of the First Amendment. Much of that time was spent at Rolling Stone magazine. Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. I've won the National Magazine Award, the I.F. Stone Award for Independent Journalism, and I've written.
So, and you can hear it in his voice. He's I don't want to call him a scaredy cat, but he's definitely introverted. He is trying to give good eye contact. You see the stress in the forehead when he does. And the fact that his body leans even further down when he lifts his head up to look at them. He's really trying to have that strong backbone. And considering most of us know that the government has been using its power to stifle and destroy people who say anything they don't like via the social media giants, tech giants, the bank giants, all of them, both of their levels of stress are appropriate.
10 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers. I'm now the editor of the online magazine Racket on the independent platform Substack. I'm here today because of a series of events that began late last year when I received a note from a source online. It read, "Are you interested in doing a deep dive into what censorship and manipulation was going on at Twitter?" A week later, the first of what became known as the Twitter Files reports came out. To say these attracted and
now you're watching him start to wiggle. A lot of wiggling. It's a lot of stress. You know it's coming, people. He knows it's coming. And unfortunately, he has seen the dark and dirty. I'm surprised he could even speak because my throat would have closed up. But let us progress to the first Democrat question.
Gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Lynch is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do need to correct the record. So there's been the suggestion here that the FBI and other government agencies pressured employees at Twitter to validate these theories of foreign influence. When we had Mr. Roth, who was Yoel Roth, who's the former global head of trust and safety at Twitter, so we asked Twitter if there was pressure applied, and Mr. Roth said, "No, I would not agree with that. The FBI," this is his quote, "the FBI was quite careful and quite consistent to request review of the accounts, but not to cross the line into advocating for Twitter to take any particular action." So that's what Twitter said about the actions of the FBI vis-a-vis Twitter. Mr. Taibbi, in 2019, Special Counsel Robert Mueller unequivocally found that the Internet Research Agency owned by Yevgeny Prigozhin, the same oligarch who runs the Wagner Group, carried out an extensive social media disinformation campaign to help then-candidate Donald Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton. He also found that the Russian intelligence interfered with the 2016 election via a hack and release campaign, damaging to the Clinton campaign. These particular findings came on the heels of the unanimous assessment on the part of the United States 18 intelligence agencies that Russian President Putin, quote, ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the presidential election, close quote. They also followed the release of a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee report finding that Russia and Vladimir Putin engaged in, I quote, aggressive, multifaceted effort to influence the U.S. president election. So, Mr. Taibbi, do you believe that the Russians and their oligarch-controlled Internet Research Agency interfered in the 2016 election via this social media disinformation campaign? Do you believe that?
Mr. Congressman, my disagreement with the issue is...
I think this is a...
I like this guy more and more. So if you heard the question, do you believe? Doesn't actually matter what the hell the question was. The fact that it starts out with, do you believe? It's not a question based on facts. It's not a question based on reality. It's a belief system. Now, unfortunately, most of you, even who listen to my channel, have a belief system in politics and everything else in the world. But fortunately for you, if presented with facts, most of you will change your mind. And this is why you see this gentleman in front of you. He knows it's a belief system question. So he's like looking around in his brain. How do I approach this? You see him shift in his seat. It's a belief system question. It's a loaded response.
This is basically a yes or no question. Either you think so or you don't, and I don't have a lot of time, so...
Okay, well then I'm going to answer not in the sense that you're putting it.
Okay.
So he got the believe me look, the stress at his forehead from it. I want to say no to the belief system you're asking me to acknowledge is real. I don't believe it. It's so stupid. Do you know my belief system and do you believe?
I think
Okay.
all countries
All right.
engage in offensive information operations. The question is scale.
Do you believe that
the
Russia
Twitter files
engaged in a
were-
hacking, reclaiming my time?
And now we're back to this. Jesus Christ. He doesn't believe my belief system. He's saying something he doesn't like. Reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time.
This is how it works now. I'll ask the questions and you try to provide an answer if you can.
You have to allow him to answer,
Do you
sir.
believe...
The gentleman is out of order and should not be interrupting a member asking a question on our side, Mr. Chairman.
Reclaiming my time from everyone.
Reclaiming my time from everyone.
Do you believe that Russia engaged in a hack and release campaign damaging to the Clinton campaign back in 2016? Again, just...
I don't know. And I would say it's
Okay.
irrelevant.
All right, let me
because-
ask Mr. Schellenbeck. These are pretty easy questions. That's just whether you believe it or not. Mr. Schellenbeck, same question. Do you believe that the Russian oligarch-controlled Internet Research Agency interfered in the 2016 election?
I think that they tried to.
Okay, fair enough.
So Mr. Schellenbach is, yeah, I told you I was going to butcher that name. I might just call him Mr. S. I believe that they tried to smile. He wants to be friendly with that side. His belief systems. And like most of the population, he's very comfortable being in a belief system. If you asked him if he believed, it doesn't matter. He believes part of your religion. He's going to say, oh, yeah, I believe that. We can get along. There's a few discrepancies in our belief systems, but I can say yes to that because then we can be friends and you won't attack me so much, which goes to the other side of belief system, which is cults. If you're part of the cult, you're pretty safe. If you're not, you're definitely not safe.
Mr. Schellenbeck, do you believe that the Russians engaged in a hack and release campaign with respect to the damaging information they released regarding the Clinton campaign?
To the best of my awareness, that is what happened. yes.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
To the best of my awareness, and you see a lot of positive movement, he's really into that belief system. And he got an attaboy. Unfortunately for Mr. T, yes, I'm not even going to try. He has not gotten any attaboy, which means he is going to be attacked relentlessly through this.
That's not the
So
same thing
the
as
reason,
influencing.
I understand.
Also, that material was
All right, so then Mr. S decided to try and give a little bit of pushback. Yeah, I understand. He got brushed off, and then he pulls away from giving attention to this congressman to drink his water as if, so I got pushed off. So you see a little bit of defiance from him with the belief system people. It's like, okay, you have been redeemed, sir.
Mr. Taibbi, Mr. Schellenberger, I'll ask both of you. Is it fair to say Russia is a bad actor who is trying to do everything they can to undermine confidence in the United States government and in our form of democracy?
I think that's a fair statement.
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the organization?
Now you see the contrast. I'm not going to ask you to believe in my religion. I'm going to ask you logically with the facts, as we all know them, or at the level that they know them, is it fair to say blah, blah, blah? And you hear from both of them, yes. And that is the contrast that you will get from all these hearings. A cult fighting back against facts. Now, there really isn't anything that I can add to body language in here other than why you're seeing such an attack and how the attack is coming across. It's a cult. It doesn't actually matter what the facts are because it's about what you believe. And then you've got the other side who has to fight the belief system with facts. And there are going to be people out there who will never change their mind because they are invested in that belief system. It doesn't matter what the facts are.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
If you'd like to learn more about analysing body language, there is a video course available on Mandy's website for Gold subscribers.